I want to get around people that inspire me, not people who tire me.
Let's go. The whole time you've been in the funding business, how much would you say if you had to come up with a number?
Add it all up, I would say roughly around 50 million.
About 50 million in funding. In what time frame?
It was almost like a year and a half. The most expensive thing in life is being in the same place you were a year later.
That costs
That
way more.
Yo, that is expensive, man.
How do I get people to know me? What would you say about marketing strategies right now?
The shoes you got on was marketed to you. The church people go to is marketed to them. The store they go to is marketed to them. Everything's marketing. He said basically there's God, then there's marketing. We got students doing 50K, 60K, 70K a month. We don't go into business to make money. We make the money to go into business. In a corner store, a bottle of water is what, $1? It's like $1, right? But when you go to like a Yankee Stadium or a Madison Square Garden, that same bottle of water is $10. It's environment, man. It's environment. Even the gym I go to, I pay $1,000 a month for the gym, but I'm with high-level entrepreneurs. When I'm walking to the gym, it's Lamborghinis all parked in front of the gym. Why? Because it's environment. One thing I always break down to my clients is this, right? The 0% interest period never ends, man. So why don't we trick the algorithm, right? By making routine deposits, same amount of money, and now you're tricking the banks basically telling them that you're gonna be with them for a long time.
That's how you shut that motherfucker down. Hey, that clip gonna be nasty, boy.
One thing my coach said to me that was super important was he was like, yo,
hey, it's your boy, Mr. CJ, you what it do? Back with another podcast episode, and I got the biggest in the game right there. We gonna leave it at that, right?
Yes, sir.
The biggest in the game right now. Jmapie in the building. What's good, baby?
all is well,
Come on,
man.
dog.
Good to see you, CJ.
Come on, man. We done kicked it a few times, man, in person, man, and it's a beautiful thing. Like I was telling you earlier, dog, like, the podcast shit cool, but if I'm gonna have you as a guest on here, man, I wanna get to know you. I wanna kick it with you. Let's hang out. Let's get some dinner. Let's have a drink. Let's just get to know each other, bro. I'm so glad I've been able to do that with you, bro, and learn more about you and learn about the sauce and learn how you killing the game.
Absolutely.
Right now, man. And just seeing what you've been doing and how people speaking about you.
Yeah.
Now it's time for you to let them know. You dig what I'm saying? So right now, man, I know you specialize in a lot of things. You're doing coaching and transformation coaching. You do the funding. Word is you funding the biggest people in the game. They using you. I'm gonna ask you this question to start, man. We're gonna jump right into it. The whole time you've been in the funding business, how much would you say if you had to come up with a number that you've seen funded the whole time? What would you say this is the most I've funded if I had to add it all up?
Add it all up, I would say roughly around 50 million.
About 50 million in funding. In what time frame?
It was almost like a year and a half. Because one thing we specialize in is basically we fund mentorships, right? So a mentor may have 100 students under them. And maybe what they need is that funding to go get to the next step. Maybe if it's real estate, fix and flip properties, they need the funding. Or maybe they need to purchase land and have to go to hard money, they need the funding. Or maybe the coaches, the biggest number one bottleneck that coaches have is what? Getting the funding and getting paid from their students. Maybe they need that. So we assist with that as well.
Oh, you doing it different.
Yeah. We do a little different. We did.
Oh, man, so you're not just funding clients to get funding. You funding whole industries and people that's top dogs in their industries.
Absolutely.
So walk me through your program, bro. How it work?
And when you say more so the program, more about the coaching side or more about the funding?
Whichever one you want to start with.
All right, we could talk a little bit about the funding and we could get a little bit into coaching. So one thing I learned, right, just working in corporate America is systems.
Okay.
So I understood when I transitioned into the space that and everyone didn't have systems. So what I did was I was someone who worked in corporate America and I tried to always focus on getting, getting from the day instead of getting through the day. So I was able to implement a lot of the structure and the systems that I'm using in corporate America, working in B2B sales into my day to day. One thing we built a system where it's bulletproof, where a lot of clients can come in at once, right? And I can kind of tell you what's big in our space right now is CRM, go high level. Right? We use go high level, a lot of people in our space, right? With those systems, what I'm able to do is create tags for each of my affiliate partners. I have affiliate managers that speak to them because obviously too, these coaches, they get paid from us too, a percentage. So we want to be able to make sure it's streamlined and communication is there. So we can intake a large lump sum of clients.
So it's just not pull up on me, let me get your credit report and I get you funded like some one-off. You got a whole system.
Gotta have a system, man, because look, think about it, right? Think about McDonald's, right? When you think about McDonald's, what's the number one thing you see? A 16-year-old can come in and master every station, whether it's fry, whether it's cook, whether it's the register. They can master every station within 2 weeks. It's because of the system, right? A 16-year-old who never worked before can come in and master every station. So if you don't have that in your business, what are you doing? So I want to be able to show people, right, how to build out a bulletproof system and start to think like Walmart in the beginning so you're able to scale later on. Yeah, for sure.
So, man, you got a lot. We're going to unpack here. So not only you got the funding down pat where you can help people with the funding, you actually helping people start funding companies too?
Sir. Yes.
Now, look, you got a lot of ways to go, so I'm going to let you get it. Look, you want to talk about how you helping people get funding, or you want to talk about how you helping people start funding companies? Which one you think people need to know first?
I think the biggest thing, the most gratifying thing, right, is helping somebody break generational curses. So let's talk a little bit about how we're able to help, our students change their life and build out funding companies. So I would say the number one thing we do is obsess over other people's problems, right? And this is how we generate the money, right? Because here's the thing, money is a byproduct of what you do and how you pour into people. So one thing we do for our students is pretty much teach them how to build out and structure these businesses. And also too, how to pretty much understand, right, what a client qualified for, how to break down funding. Because a lot of people, one thing I see in the industry is a lot of people, what they do in funding is this. They'll sit there and say, hey, we can do 0% interest funding. But there's layers to funding. Yeah, 0% interest is for the average person that's coming in that don't qualify for a term loan. But what we do is we pretty much break down, if you're coming in and you're a new LLC, what we're going to do for you is basically we'll go 0%, but we're going to teach you how to build better relationships with the banks, right? And as we build those relationships with the banks, now we can open up towards term loans, lines of credit. And then from there, as we build better relationship with the banks, what's the next layer from there? SBA, right? And that comes with positive tax returns. So we're teaching you from square point A all the way to point B, how to build and structure these businesses up.
I like that. So let's jump into that, to breaking down the steps. What do you mean for the people that's watching? It's their first time now, because we're going to get to the high level shit in a second. What do they mean by build better relationships with the banks? Like,
let's talk a little bit about it.
How do you help them do that?
So the number one way you can build relationships with the banks is by making deposits, going in, opening up an account, right? One thing I teach my students is this, right? When you're going into the banks, you want to go into the banks with leverage. Because here's the thing, if you go into the banks with leverage, let's say, for instance, if you do apply for funding and you don't get the approval you want, that relationship manager, whoever you apply with, is going to fight for your approval, right? So number one thing I tell my students is when you're going into the banks, leverage, right? So one thing we do is we open up an account. We have our students pretty much make routine deposits instead of just dropping in a large amount of money into account. Because what happens is, statistically, they say with banks, if somebody has auto pay, right? If you have auto pay, you're statistically going to stay with a bank for more than 5 years. So why don't we trick the algorithm, right? By making routine deposits, same amount of money, and now you're tricking the banks, basically telling them that you're going to be with them for a long time. When you start to apply for funding, now it opens up where they want to give you these large limits because they see you not here for a good time, but for a long time. You know what I'm saying? So that's something we do.
Is it a certain time? Does it matter how long they should make the deposit, or does that vary?
It varies. It varies based on banks. So let's just say, for instance, with Chase, right? If we go Chase, I'm always going to say 30 days, season the account. You can make routine deposits. I typically like to have my clients put in, if you don't have the capital, $2,000 to $5,000 into the account, and then we can break it down $500 every other day, right? It helps to obviously trick the algorithm, and also too, now Chase see those routine deposits, so now they're expecting it.
I didn't think about the expected part, bro.
Yeah, they expecting it for sure.
Is it a number of banks they need to do it? Like, say they get in, like, is it a number of banks they should do? Like, if you say Chase, for an example, what I'm getting at is, should they do 2 relationships, 1, 3? Does it matter how many they should build at the get?
Well, I always say build a relationship with every single bank that has obviously 0% interest promotions, right? So I would say for the average client coming in, the first banks I want to go to is like Elon Financial Banks. Why? They're going to give you 18 months, 0% interest funding.
They still doing that?
Still giving that 18 months. But here's the thing.
Like, the only one still doing I still know, they still kind of like one of the only ones doing the 18.
Here's the thing too, even on the personal side, especially if you're somebody who needs to build up your personal profile, what you can do on the Elon Financial side is basically 21 months, 0% interest on the personal side. So a lot of people are not leveraging those promotions to get ahead, right? And that's something that we teach our students. So we can go to Elon Financial Bank. Some of the Elon Financial Banks I can think of right now is U.S. Bank. You got Ameris. There's so many that you can go to. But now you got 18 months, 0% interest a promotional period.
Wait, Elon Financial is a branch of other banks? What you mean?
So Elon, let's break down Elon Financial. So Elon Financials is basically underwriters. So they're underwriters behind a bank. Correct.
Yeah, break that down for me, man.
Yeah. So they're underwriters. So they
help me out too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I got you. So they're underwriters behind the banks, right? And they have a list of banks that they underwrite for. But typically they give the best 0% interest promos. And also too, what they help with is basically balance transfer. So for the average person, you know, I hear in the industry liquidation, but you can leverage balance transfers. And essentially what a balance transfer is basically you can go and request, hey, I would like to request a balance transfer. They'll transfer your credit card balance over to your checkings account to pay off of any debt you currently have. Yeah. So there's ways of maximizing with 0% interest without having to liquidate. Because what happens is if you start to liquidate these cards, right? If a bank find out that you liquidate, they're going to close those cards.
Right.
So we want to be able to do it the right way by leveraging balance transfers, right? One thing I always break down to my clients is this, right? The 0% interest period never ends, man. Never ends. It never ends. Problem is I hear the gurus in the industry say, yo, 12 months, 0% interest, right? 18 months, 0% interest. It never ends because here's the thing. I can give you an example. We can go to a Chase and get a Chase Ink cash card, right? And basically that's 12 months, 0% interest. Now we turn around and go for the Ink Unlimited, right? Let's just say we finish up the year with the Ink Cash. We can go over and get the Ink Unlimited. Now we can combine both cards to the Ink Unlimited. Now you got another 12 months. That's 24 months now.
When you say combine, you mean roll over the credit?
You can roll over the limit from your Ink Cash. Once your 12 months is up, over to the Ink Unlimited, apply for the Ink Unlimited. And now you can put both limits together and your 0% interest period starts over.
What the? So what you got to call them? So
So you can call up customer service and say, hey, I would like to combine both of these cards. But I typically always tell my clients, make sure your 0% interest period is ending before you go for that second card instead of going for both.
Only Chase do that, or you can do some other banks?
So Chase is one of the top banks that I will always suggest going to when it comes to combining cards. There's multiple other banks, but the number one thing you want to do too is just make sure you're focusing on leveraging that 0% interest period in that time frame first, right? Mm-hmm. So from there, you know, we can always go back over to the Elons. We can always go over to, you know, there's so many banks that we can play with, Citizen Bank, and everybody has that period, that time period where you can do 0% interest balance transfer. But you want to make sure you call in the customer service and see if they have a promo at that time. Yeah.
So people not even checking, huh?
Nah, they're not checking. They're not checking like that, man. And we're not leveraging what we have in front of us, and we should.
Dang. Yeah. Talk about anything else you think people are missing in the funding space. Because, okay, we know about the 0% credit card. Is there any other type of funding products that makes your funding program different?
Yeah, for sure. So one thing we specialize in is DSCR loans as well.
What's that?
So we specialize in working with a lot of real estate professionals, right? I like to penetrate real estate professionals because number one, they know they have to have capital going into a deal. Also, two, a lot of fix and flippers, they do deals over and over again. So they can keep coming back to me where I'm able to help them get that funded. So let me break down DSCR, right? Yeah. It's a debt service coverage loan, right? And the beautiful thing is, right, you have traditional loans where you have to provide tax documentation. You have to provide proof of employment. You have to go through a vigorous underwriting, right? With DSCRs, only thing is the property has to outweigh what the rent is. So as long as the rent, and let me break that down one more time, the rent has to outweigh what the mortgages of the property. So let's just say, for instance, if I have a property that's $2,000 a month, as long as the rental income is coming in at $2,400 a month,
with that
mortgage it will payment. Cover what that mortgage payment is, right? So the average, what we do is in the industry is we'll sell our clients on the 0% interest funding, maybe a term loan, line of credit, SBA, but we're not walking our client through what that journey looked like on the other side, right? And we can provide a DSCR loan. We can broker these deals for free. And a lot of people don't know that because you just have to build those relationships with other DSCR lenders because you can be a broker for them.
Whoa. So let me make sure I got it right. So again, if that mortgage is 2 bands, and my rent hitting for $2,400, around that gets me in a place where I can start qualifying.
For sure.
The rent.
Yep. So a 1.0 would be if the mortgage was 2,000 and you were making 2,000, that'll be a 1.0. But the sweet spot is always around a 1.25 to a 1.3, which will bring you up roughly $400. So to 2,000 to 2,400, you'll get a better rate, obviously an interest rate. Some of the pros, obviously, with DSCR loans is they close a lot faster than traditional loans, right? I would say some of the cons is basically with DSCR is basically the interest rate might be slightly higher, but it's for your entrepreneurs, right? That don't have proof of employment, those things. So it's for your entrepreneurs. And now, one thing about DSCRs too, a lot of people don't understand is that with DSCR loans, it's only for an investment property. It's not for anyone who's living into a property, a residential, someone living on an occupied property.
Well, what about the funding limits you see with those? Like,
man, they go all the way up. It all depends. As long as, so some of the criteria for a DSCR is basically it has to be a single family all the way up into a fourplex. Now, they can slide in a 5 or 6plex, but once you pass pretty much that fourplex, you're going into commercial. Okay. So as long as the property is cash flow and the property is good to go, it's move-in ready, I've seen properties go up to $2 million, $3 million. And then now for the average funder that's only doing 0% interest funding, now you can make 3% on that deal if you broker that deal. And you don't need a license or anything because the company that you're brokering the deal through have the licenses.
You just setting it up, getting them right.
Literally, you get the lead, you walk your client through basically a term sheet. And it's just a simple questions, right? Where's the property? How much the property costs? After repairs, what would the value be? And then from there, you send it over to the lenders, the term sheet, the questionnaire. They'll send you back a term sheet. But the number one thing I tell a lot of my students too is basically figure out what the person that's in front of you value, right? Because some people value interest rate, right? Making sure the interest rate is low. Some people value, what do I have to put down at the end, right? The amount of money. Some people value, maybe they don't want a 5-year payment penalty. Right. So it's understanding what that person across from you value and tailor-made that option for them.
Bro, I've been doing this shit a long time. I don't think I ever seen nobody talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's such a low-hanging fruit that you can just broker these deals, man. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I started to fall in love with it when I was funding this real estate mentorship. And I'm like, man, how else can I add value? Because I'm that type of person where if I'm doing something for someone, how can I add more value? So it's something I stumbled across, and it's been, man, one of the best things that we implemented into our business, for sure.
Man, so it's really like you're doing the education part. Like you're educating them on like, hey, bro, you got this investment property. You don't even know that you could qualify for that. And that's why I think the industry we in is so dope because, we get paid, man, helping people get funded and get financing for stuff, but we really change their lives.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm big on, and I found out that's what you really big on. Yeah. That the funding space ain't just about getting access to debt. It's really about, man, somebody could be really jammed up and that piece of capital you helped them get was able to get them the cushion that they need to really go do something. Obviously, we're not helping people get funded to go fuck off. You working with real entrepreneurs, real investors, real people got real shit going on, real investment property, you know? I never thought of that, bro. But any other different type of funding product that you see that's a bit different, you do?
Yeah, for sure. I think too, the biggest thing too in our industry is everybody sends their clients over to like Rock Financial, where Rock Financial, what they essentially do is they offer your clients, whether it's a term loan or a merchant cash advance, right? Obviously, merchant cash advances are frowned upon in our industry because they charge almost a 40% interest rate. But I tell people that it's not for everyone, that merchant cash advance. It's breaking down what type of client are you dealing with that's ready for that merchant cash advance. So, and I'll give you an example of a client that's ready for a merchant cash advance and a client that's not. If you're a restaurant owner, right, and you don't have the capital right now because your overhead is very high and your oven break, you're gonna let your restaurant close, or you're gonna go and get that merchant cash advance to replace that oven as soon as possible.
Nice.
That's for that kind of person. I've seen people give merchant cash advances to people who need payroll. What happens is now you're constantly behind on your payroll. I see people giving merchant cash advances to people who need like small equipment, something like that, or just need capital on hand. What happens is you placing somebody in a very, very high interest loan, right? So it's for a certain client in the industry.
Yeah, because you don't want to take that and then you always really chasing. It feels like you got, like you fucked up you need real surgery and you put a Band-Aid on it. Yeah. But you need full surgery. So
you need staples and they over there use stitches.
So it's really gonna get worse, bro.
It only get worse. Yeah. So it's just finding that value with your clients. I think that's what makes me stand out a little differently, is because, again, how we structure everything is really getting to know the client and what their journey look like in order to help them get to that next level.
I think that's why I like the way you move, especially your business partner, Ali. I just like how y'all moving, bro, because y'all came in this space, you know, and like you say, 2 years in the game, like, you could have came in here with that fast moving shit too.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you guys. And sometimes we got to start like that to learn. And then, but you got the background. We're about to get into your story corporate. I like the fact that y'all actually care about advising the client.
Yeah.
See, that's what's going on in the funding space right now. It's like, if I can help you get a bag, I really don't care if I'm putting you in that position as long as I get my percentage. You guys are going on the education and really caring about advising them on which loan product. So for me to say this to you is because your game, your game got range on it.
Yeah, for sure.
So therefore, you're not boxing them in. Mm-hmm. That's good, man. Talk a little bit about that, of like your different funding products. How did you get into that, your mindset? How did you get into that education part of like, bro, I really want to educate and advise these people before I give them a certain funding product I think they qualify? Where they come from?
You know what it is, man? I'm going to be honest with you. And it probably comes from being a kid, man, growing up in and out of like foster care systems and all that. So it's like that support was never there. So it's like, how do I add that support on for somebody as an entrepreneur, as a business owner? You know, as a kid, I had to figure things out on my own all the time. So now it's like, yo, man, I never want anybody to experience that. What if I can help somebody and save them? What if I got the cure to cancer somebody's business to save them and save their business? Because one thing we know is 86% of businesses go out of business due to lack of capital. So it's like, what can I do to continue to add on? I've seen clients come to me and say, yo, I need funding. And it's like, what you need it for? Oh, I'll figure it out when I get the funding. No, we don't go into business to make money. We make the money to go into business. And that's the problem. We got it backwards. So it's like we have to restructure the way we think in order to really scale.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah,
we're gonna get back to the story because I want to touch on that before I get to the corporate. But let's go, because you gave some good sauce on the funding. Like I feel like you can go crazy on more funding. So we might have to bring you back to a part 2, because if I put funding sauce you got, we're gonna tell my people how they can reach out to you, bro. Because it seems like that funding game bag, but your funding game deep, but it's like you got more to you, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
You got so much more to you. That's so awesome, bro. So let's talk about the coaching side of it. So where you got the funding game down pack, you got your sequences down pack, you got your different lending game down pack.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing how you caring about people. So how does your funding sauce work towards your coaching program? What does your coaching program work right for helping people build funding companies?
Yeah, so we teach people how to build and scale 6-figure funding companies, right? Potentially going up to 7 figures. And one thing we do that's different than everyone else is we're analyzing fully everybody who comes in. Like, we want to have more of an understanding of your background and what you do so we can tailor-made it the best work for you, right? When it comes to coaching, man, we just obsess over everybody's problems, obsess over their problems of what's needed. And I tell you, it worked out because we got students doing 50K, 60K, 70K a month. I always tell people it's not even about the money, because the money come, right? And, you know, one thing my coach said to me that was super important was, he was like, yo, if I can't sell you, I can't serve you. If I can't serve you, I can't save you. So it's like, continue to serve and you can save people. And you're going to make the money. You're going to make the money. And it's one thing I'll tell you is we fully understand this funding thing in and out. So we built out systems for our students to never, like bulletproof systems, so they're constantly learning, they're constantly winning from, you know, expert hour, having heavy hitters like you come in and teach your students, right? Like teach them mindset, come in and teach them credit sales, come in and teach them AI. How can we implement AI in our business, right? Because if we don't leverage AI right now, it's you dead meat later. You know what I'm saying?
Fact,
so it's a matter of like, we're teaching them in and out how to build and scale these businesses from a business perspective, right? Because we don't run plays, we run businesses.
There
right?
we go.
So we don't want to just give you play after play after play. Basically, oh, this bank is doing this bank is doing that. No, we want you to think like the banks when we go into the banks, right? Because if we think like the banks, then we can become the bank.
Facts.
For sure.
Facts. That's powerful, bro. Give me an example of one of your most successful students in your program.
Yeah, for sure. Talk about Edgar, man. I think Edgar, he came over to my business partner, did credit repair with him. Then he transitioned over to me for funding. He came from a real estate mentorship. When he seen how seamless it was, he had conviction. He was just like, yo, I think I want to learn this.
Okay.
And man, we turned around 4 months later, 5 months later, this guy's making $60,000, $50,000. Just 2 days ago, had a $30,000 day.
Wow.
But the number one thing he's doing is obsessing over other people's problems. So now he understands how the credit card stack. He's understanding how to take a company from point A to point B. He's understanding there's layers to funding. And now, man, it's beautiful to see him. Or we have another student, her name is Benny. Okay. And the beautiful thing about her is she don't just run a funding company, but she help people with, she helps people acquire businesses. So she owns, laundromat, she owns a car rental service. But the problem is when she came over to us, she was over leveraged. She was in debt. She had she had all these cars in her name on her personal side. She leveraged her own personal money to go and get a laundromat. And then she's like, whoa, I wish I would have relearned this. But I'm like, it don't matter. We can fix it right now in real time. Number one thing we can do is refinance the cars into the business. Also, too, with the laundromat now we're taking in capital and starting to leverage it towards the business by getting those business credit cards to basically pay for laundromat equipment, all of those things. So teaching them. And now she's doing around $50,000 a month too. She's doing really well for herself.
That's hard.
Yeah, for sure. So now she's teaching people how to acquire businesses. And I think that's what it's all about, right? Because here's the thing about businesses when you acquire it, you're going in understanding the numbers that it make already, how we can come in and elevate that business and really pour into that business. And that's what it's all about, man. Like, because there's a lot of these businesses that's being sold is by people who's older, that don't have AI in their business, that didn't have maybe a laundromat, didn't have a drop-off service or anything like that. So now we just have to come in and beef it up, man.
I'm gonna tell you what I like about how you're doing your funding program and the coaching, bro.
Yeah.
Is I can see how your students, your mentees are being successful because you're teaching them about that obsession over problems. You're not just teaching them the funding moves.
Yeah.
You're teaching them how to solve problems.
Yeah.
That's what take the funding game to a higher level. And I see that's what you're doing, man.
It's all a mindset, though. I think it's a mindset thing. And that's the number one thing we do, too. More than anything, we teach mindset because a lot of people don't understand it's transformation over information. Meaning what type of person are you going to become in the process of doing it? Because if we just give you the information, it's like almost like a teacher, right? Take you to the classroom. Hey, look at my classroom. This is going to be your desk. Here's the book. This is where I'll be teaching. What you're telling somebody essentially is they got to do the work.
Right.
But if you sit there and you break it down like, hey, this is the person you're going to become when you help this person. This is the person you're going to become when you learn this information. That transformation matters more than anything.
The funding is underneath.
Yeah, the funding is nothing. The funding is nothing. What we're teaching them is transformation. So now they may start with funding, then they may become a coach. They may become a motivational speaker. But there's so many things that come out of this, right? Because I'm talking, 2 years ago when I started this process, I wasn't the speaker I wasn't the businessman I was, you know what I'm saying? Even with my partner, Ali, I remember reaching out to him, telling him I was going into the space because he was already killing it. He was just like, yo, bro, keep grinding. Like, I want to see what you could do with it. And I was able to, build up the business and really transition. But it's the person I became in the process, right?
Yeah, that's powerful.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like,
that's powerful. You're the person, and I can see that's working with your students. Now, you got your mad crazy funding sequence.
Yeah.
I get the idea of your coaching program, how you teaching them how to solve problems, the system of solving problems, and they get the funding game with it. Now we got that sauce. Let's talk about the marketing strategies, man.
Yeah.
I see you guys ads. I see what y'all doing. I believe you got the 1 to midnight game down pat. Let's talk about, okay, I got my mind right.
Yeah.
I got the credit sauce.
Let's get the money.
How do I get people to know me? What would you say about marketing strategies right now? What's working for you, man?
Man, of course, man. One thing I want to say is visibility beats ability, right?
Okay.
If you're not visible, guess what? People can't pay you. If people don't know, like, and trust you, they can't pay you. So it's super important. One thing I heard from Wallow, he said basically there's God, then there's marketing. And when I thought about that, I was like, hold on, what do you mean? Like, it's family. We got friends. We got so many other. But when I thought about it, I was like, man, the shoes you got on was marketed to you.
100%.
The church people go to is marketed to them. The store they go to is marketed to them. What we wear is marketed to us. Everything's marketing. So it's like, you have to be visible. If not, guess what? They're going to pay the person next to you. And I always say this, right? you're doing a disservice to the person that's looking to pay you by not marketing, by not posting every day, right? And then you letting people that's not even better than you beat you because they're a better marketer. 90% of these guys in the space are good marketers, but they don't really have real sauce. They don't really have those things. So it's like, how do you continue to pour into your people? How do you continue to push your message through? There's so many ways, right? Obviously posting on social media. Also, you can create like a nurturing sequence for your client, whether it's a newsletter. I would say YouTube is probably the biggest play you can, because it's long-term and people are really looking for a problem that you can solve. You know what I'm saying? They're going through videos looking for how to get funding. They're going through videos looking at how they can become a better speaker, right? So marketing is key, man. It's key.
Man, you right. 100% YouTube. That's been my name to fame. Bro, if I didn't do YouTube, bro, I'm gonna be real. If I didn't do YouTube, I don't know where I would be. Just to be honest with you, YouTube changed my life. That's what I do. So I'm so glad you're speaking on that. Now, I know you do. Is it webinars or challenges? Which one?
Both. Which
one you like?
Oh man,
like
that's
both?
a good question.
Which one you like, bro?
So it all depends.
I
like them. I could break it down. I like them both for two different things.
All right, let's talk about it.
So let's talk about challenges. Challenges, right now we're in the trust recession. People don't trust people. Is a lot of people out promoting things online that don't do what they say. What happens is people don't trust it. When they see somebody, you ever put up a post, I made this. Oh, he's a scammer. He's a liar. He's this, he's that, right? Not understanding what scams stand for, is still confused about money, right? So now we're teaching people how to, fall into those things. But I would say the biggest thing with challenges is you gain an influence very fast. You create a community very fast within those 5 days of teaching. You build trust in real time. And I always tell people with those 5-day mentorships and them challenges, it's worse than selling dope because you're selling hope. You're showing people what the person they can become, right? And you're with them for a certain amount of time. So when they pay you, there's conviction there. That's why I like challenges, right?
And for those who don't know, for those who know, challenges is like a sequence of calls.
Yeah. So let me break down challenges. Challenge, basically a 5-day mentorship where pretty much you're teaching a group of 1 to many, you're teaching a group of people, whatever field you're in, whether it's funding, whatever you're teaching, taxes, you're teaching them. And also too, in the mornings, you have a morning mindset call, right? So we're adjusting that mindset because we understand that the mind matters. If your mind is not right, you can't take action on anything. So it's a sequence of 5 days where you're teaching them in and out how to build and scale a funding company, how to really, how to prospect, how to partner, how to grow. And I would tell you, man, the biggest thing I've seen with these challenges is people become better people right after. Just do it. Literally, just do it, man. So I'm here to tell you that I'm literally literally somebody who came from a challenge.
Wow, bro.
I only went on one challenge. I was able to change my life. So I was working a 9 to 5, man. I was working Monday through Sunday. Literally, my son used to have football. He'll play football. My phone would be ringing on football. Every Sunday he had football games. And my phone would just be ringing off. I'm answering phone calls, answering questions. Let me tell you, man, I stumbled across somebody running a 5-day mentorship, and I decided to watch it. And I became a better person instantly after it.
Bro,
instantly, man, I was able to change my life. I went from working a 9 to 5 where I was miserable, I was tired, I was overweight. My kids didn't know me. I had 2 phones, right? I had the work phone, I had the personal phone, but I was prioritizing the work phone over my family.
Damn.
I came across Jim Rohn. He was like, yo, you need to, you should be working on yourself more than you work at work. But I was working at work more than I was working on myself. I was letting myself go. You know what I'm saying? So when I started to readjust that, I'm like, all right, what do I need to do, man? I started to invest into mentorship. Literally didn't have the money. That's why one thing I always tell, people is commit first, figure it out later. I didn't have the money. I went into my 401k to pay for my first mentorship. I didn't care because I understood that I had the conviction that I wanted to become a better person. Wow, and bro. What happens is a lot of people, they wait and they say, yo, you know what? I'm going to figure it out on my own. But how long would it take you to figure that out? The most expensive thing in life is what? Being in the same place you were a year later.
That costs way more.
Yo, that is expensive, man. So we have people that came on our first challenge that didn't commit and take the offer, that came on our second challenge and paid. But I always tell them on that second challenge you came, how much money did you lose? If we have Edgar, we got Benny, we got Dunk Fam doing $50,000 a month, 4 months later you came on now, right? How much money did you lose? You lost $200,000.
You knew you wanted to make the decision the first time.
Yeah. But what happens is sometimes we trick ourselves into thinking we can do it on our own. That's why I always say, like, in order to get transformation, it requires a transaction. Literally. And people don't understand is either you're going to pay in time, pay in trying to figure it out, pay bumping your head, or you're going to pay the invoice.
Square business.
You going, yeah.
It's straight up. Either way, you going to have to pay, fam.
Pick your payment. Pick your
Goddamn
payment.
it.
But I'll tell you now, you want to pay the invoice. Why? Because now you're skipping the line. That's the fast pass. That's the fast pass to getting to your destination quicker. For sure.
Bro. I ain't gonna lie, y'all about this. Y'all gonna inspire me to do challenges, bro.
Yo,
I'm telling you,
man.
I'm telling you, man. Y'all gonna inspire me to do challenges because I've been like, 3 days or 5 days. That's a lot of time and this and that. But let me tell you why you're helping me change my belief, bro.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about the time it's gonna cost for me to do a 3-day or 5-day challenge. And I'm like, this don't take too much of my time. But let me tell you why you're helping me. Because now you're making me think about the lives that I'm not able to change because I'm not doing it. So if that challenge changed your life, you have a strong why as to why you're doing it. It's not just for money for you no more. It's not because a challenge changed your life. So every time you fire up a challenge, I'm sure you're scanning that room like, man, I know I can make some money, but who life I'm about to change?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because the money is a byproduct again. Like, it's a tool to get us to where we need to go. But it's not about the money. It's how can we help people change their life? Because now their story is attached to our story. You know what I'm saying? That's the biggest thing. So one thing I always say too, like, you know, because I was on that challenge, I got to the end too where they gave an offer. You know what I'm saying? And I almost tricked myself out of not taking an offer. I could have still been at corporate America, still working at corporate America, unhappy, not having time for my family. You know what I'm saying? But I understood that nothing changes if nothing changes. You know what I'm saying? So I had to tell myself I had to make a decision. And I always tell people, like, making a decision is not it's not a feeling. You know, being scared is not a feeling, man. It's a choice. Like, to not take that next step. You gotta literally decide right then and there, what am I going to do? Am I going to stay in the same place, or I'm going to go and get the help from somebody who already did it, who already elevated himself, who's making millions of dollars, right? Who has the lifestyle I want. I want to get around people that inspire me, not people who tire me.
Let's go. Rick Tire the bar out right there, man. Motherfucker inspire me and not tire me, man.
For sure.
And over 5 days, you're instilling that into them, is what you're saying.
5 days instilling that into them, and you know, teaching them about relationships. So now we're bringing up 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure entrepreneurs, right, to come in and speak. And we tell them, like, our relationships become yours. You know what I'm saying? Do you have a millionaire in your phone? 90% of people don't even have a millionaire in their phone. Our phone heavy, you know what I'm saying? It's heavy. And what happens is our relationships become theirs. I always tell people, man, like, that's how you win, the environment you in. Because look, think about it like this. Think about a bottle of water, right? In the corner store, a bottle of water is what, $1? It's like $1, right? It's $1 in the corner store. But when you go to like a Yankee Stadium or a Madison Square Garden, that same bottle of water is $10. What changed? The minerals in the water? Did the ounces change? Did the taste change? It's environment, man. It's environment. So it's like, you want to go where you praise, right? Instead of, you know what I'm saying, being in environments that don't inspire you, that don't motivate you, and you don't like. And it's like, how selfish are you if you're not taking your family out of that environment? You going back to the same neighborhoods you hate. You going back to go talk to the same people. You got to talk to the same boss you don't like. They speaking down on you, right? You got to wait for your paycheck, right? You know, there's so many things that come with it when you start to commit. So I always tell people, man, you definitely want to lock in, or you be clocking out.
Clocking in, bro. Now y'all gonna inspire me, man. That's good. It makes the way you explained it. Like I say, we start off with a challenge is, but then you went depth into how you changing people, even beyond funny. Let's talk about webinars. How you feel about
that? For sure. I love webinars too, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because the webinars, it sparks an interest for people, right?
Okay.
Also, too, typically we do webinars on Thursdays and Sunday nights at 7 p.m.
Okay.
So on a Thursday night, typically a client is a student or is going into getting paid that next Friday. I mean, the next day and Friday, right?
Okay.
But here's the thing. A lot of them are waiting and they're broke, literally. They're searching for something. When you get on that call, you feel like you find that meeting. You feel like you find something. And on Sundays, imagine on Sundays, man, when I used to work a 9 to 5, I'm laying down like, oh man, I got to get ready for the week. It's Monday.
Yeah.
You're laying down thinking, imagine on a Sunday night, where you're teaching them about transformation. You're teaching them about how you was able to elevate your life going from a 6-figure job to 7 figures. And then they got to wake up and go to work the next day. So it's like,
Nah, you gonna get them on that
Now-
Sunday
now-
night webinar.
that Sunday night different because now you laying in the bed alone. Like, I got to go back to work. I got to go back to that same person I don't like. I don't like my life. I don't like my job. But it's like, whatever you're not changing, you're choosing. So it's like, what are you going to do to take yourself to that next level? What are you going to do? Are you going to make the investment to get around other high level individuals? Because that was the biggest difference for me. To be honest, I started to put myself in environments that literally elevated me. Like even the gym I go to, I pay $1,000 a month for the gym, but I'm with high level entrepreneurs. I'm with 7-figure, 8-figure, 9-figure entrepreneurs, guys who killed the webinar game, guys who's literally making millions a month. And when I'm walking to the gym, it's Lamborghinis all parked in front of the gym. Why? Because it's environment. It's environment. But here's the thing. When you get into those environments, now it's a give me zone. Meaning you start to make money off of the relationships that's in there.
Off top.
You start to build relationships and partnerships come to you being in those environments. So a lot of people, they hear $1,000 and they be like, hold on. But it's like, think about like LeBron James. He put $1 million in his body a year, right?
Balling at 40 years old.
40 years old, still dunking on people, right? So it's that investment, it's that environment, putting yourself in those places.
That's fire,
Sure.
bro. You breaking it down beautiful from the challenges to the webinars. Now, how are we getting people to join those? Is it organic? Is it ads? Is it both? What you thinking?
Yeah, for sure. I think both matters, right? I think you want to be able to post organically, especially testimonials. Right. So one thing I heard, and I heard this from Wes Watson, right? Free Wes Watson. I don't know what's going on, right? Yeah, but I heard this one. He said, your story should feel like one long day and testimonials should be your commercials.
Yeah.
So you should be posting your life. Like you should literally be posting your life 90% of the time, selling 10. You want to sell without selling. So what I've seen is I see a lot of people as they start to market, they're just selling. So now everybody's on the fence. Right. But if you show them your life and now somebody's like, man, imagine I can live like that. Imagine if I can, you know what I'm saying, drive a Bugatti, whatever he's driving. Imagine if I can drive a Lamborghini. Seeing if you show your life and then in between you have those commercials of testimonials you're promoting. Well, you're selling without selling, essentially. And then I would say too, when it comes to ads, it's super important, right?
Okay.
Because the thing about ads, I was against ads in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Until I started running them, I'm like, whoa, this is a different world, right? Because you got people that don't know you, right? And basically they come in, they opt into your funnel. Now they start to know, like, and trust you. You get to nurture them. The beautiful thing too about ads is it's predictable and it's scalable.
Okay.
So the good thing about ads is basically once you understand your cost per lead, now you can just double down and you know how much you're paying per client coming in. You understand how much if a client pay you, how much money you make as well. And man, ads is everything, man. So when you think about like Amazon, they're still spending $1 million in ads monthly. They're the biggest company in the world. Why are we not running it? When you think about Nike, for instance, right? Majority of their money don't even go into product. It goes into the marketing, right? Like a LeBron got $1 billion deal. So it's like, if they're marketing, why are we not marketing from an ads perspective? We all should be running ads. We all, because the thing is, you can continue to promote to your people, your audience, right? But maybe your audience seen it already 2, 3, 4 times. We want to be able to promote to people that don't know us. Now they can pretty much opt into our funnel to get to know, like, and trust us.
Real talk, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Bro, you done covered funding strategies, coaching strategies on funding, changing lives, challenges,
for sure.
Webinars and ads. Bro, that's a lot of game that you acquire, bro. But before we get out of here, we got to really understand, like, you mentioned earlier, foster care and then corporate America. How do you go from foster care, corporate America, to all this sauce, bro, that you just get?
Yeah, for sure. I would say,
the story, bro.
you know, and I'll kind of break it down too, right? Growing up, we were in and out of foster care, man. I grew up in the Bronx, New York. And single mother, father wasn't too far, but he wasn't in our lives as much as we wanted him to be, right? But we were in and out of foster kids. My mom, she struggled with alcoholism. It taught me early how to survive. it taught me earlier how to move and how to understand, because I was going into different environments where I had to protect my brothers, protect my sisters. And I'm the middle child. I have an older brother and an older sister. It prepared me. Like, I was already street smart as a kid. I was able to analyze things and see when something was going to go wrong and get out the way, right? I transitioned, man, to 14, man. I would say my first job was packing bags. I was packing bags, man, sitting in the Pathmarks, and now it's called ShopRite, right? Sitting by the register, asking to pack people bags for money. Then I transitioned into, working in the restaurants. And the number one thing I noticed about restaurants was, like, the number one thing people consume is food. So it showed me through their body language whether they liked it or they disliked the food. So it taught me, that helped me in sales, like understanding objection, because objection is going to come from your body before your mouth. So body language, right?
Yeah.
Which I transitioned into, corporate America sales, man. I worked in a Verizon store, right? I was selling cell phones, In year one, winner circle, right? Top 10% in the nation. Year two, I became an account manager working in Harlem, promoted to account manager in Midtown, then became a senior account manager. President's cabinet, right? Top in sales. Then I became a senior manager where I took over the whole Massachusetts. I was the senior manager of the whole Massachusetts. That's when life started to hit me, man, because I understood that I had no work-life balance, right? My son, he was more focused on what his mother was doing than what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, whoa, that can't happen now, right? So I was like, man, what am I going to do? I got to make a decision. And I started to invest into mentorship, man. Started to invest into myself, and I understood that the best investment was in the SME 500. It wasn't in the S&P 500. I understood that the best investment was in XRP. It was XRMe.
It's quite
You know what I'm saying? So I had to understand.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah, for sure, because I understood that, like, I am the business, I am the brand, and if I can build on that. So I started to get my mindset right. I started to get in the gym, started to work out. I cut down the weight, and just every day still continue to be a better person, man, for me, my family, for the people around me.
Ain't they what they call the golden handcuffs? Is they what they call, like, because you getting promoted so much, and you working your ass off to hit those promotions, and you realize that I'm losing all this time on my family, even though I'm getting these promotions. Though.
You giving them something to go up.
They're paying pretty good.
Yeah, I was making around $200,000 a year. But here's the thing, I want to break it down. Yeah, over $200,000. The average person, most dangerous place you can be in is right there. Because you're comfortable, right? You're making the money. Like, if you're making more than 6 figures, your family is like, whoa, he's making more than 6 figures. But literally, that's the place where you stay stagnant. That is the worst place you could ever be in your life, right? And they were finessing me with the number on paper, because here's the thing, I worked in sales. So 40%, if you make a commission, 40% of your every month your commission is taxed 40%. So now let's just deduct 40%. Then taxes too. Let's deduct another 10%. So yeah, it was 200,000 on paper. When I really did the math, guess what? I was probably making like 110.
Get the fuck.
And here's the thing too, you see 200,000 on paper. The average American, what they're doing is now they're taking on a new car. They're taking on a new apartment. Expenses go up. That's what keeps you stuck in that rat race in corporate America. Because now you see a number on paper and that number is not real. It's not a real number. So I wanted to start, I had to start investing in myself to take myself to that next level. And it required me paying a mentor who had the lifestyle I wanted. It required me getting around people like my business partner, Ali, because he inspired me. It required me getting to know people like you, right? That pretty much, pour into me, and you telling me, hey, yo, listen, your offer could be 100,000. We just had a conversation about that. I was like, damn, 100,000, I got limited beliefs. But when I think about the transformation of a lot of my students, right? If they making $50,000, $60,000 a month, why I can't charge $100,000, right? Because that's 2 months of work for them. This is a high level skill that you learn for a lifetime.
Because, man, when you do a super cream high ticket offer, they not getting the funding game no more. They getting you.
Yeah.
And because you really enjoy changing people's lives and winning, it's worth the price, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I want you to share that story too, because you went through that corporate life, moving up, and there's gonna be a lot of people watching, dealing with that right now.
Yeah.
They dealing with that right now, what you just explained, and it gets comfortable, and it's like, bro, I can't quit my job. I can't do mentorship. I can't leave this and that. It's like, hey, we're not telling you just jump off the porch and just quit your corporate jobs. You got a family, but we just saying, like, there's somebody who did it.
Yeah.
And so if you're thinking about who I should go to for a coach, who I should go to in a mentorship if I'm dealing with this, maybe I should sign up with somebody who went through it and actually did it. And that's why I always telling you, bro, as we've been talking, your story is powerful.
Yeah.
Your message is powerful. Your work ethic is powerful. Like what you're doing is really changing lives. It's just so happened that you nice and funded.
Yeah,
You nice and funded, but you got so many skills on you that's really gonna change a lot of people's lives, bro. So that's why I'm so glad you came on here, bro. So I can have my people watch this and be like, damn, if I ever thought about what that shit look like on paper and I need a spark to go bust a move, you somebody who did it and you did it by joining the challenges. Now you offering challenges and now you doing full circle, bro, not just talking about shit, you really do it.
For sure.
You really do it, bro. Before we get out of here, man, first of all, where can they find you though?
Man, you can find me on Instagram at Jmapie Tapa.
How you spell it?
Jmapie Tapa. And also too, I'll say, hey, if you somebody who's sick and tired of being sick and tired, you want to add on an extra $5,000 to $10,000 onto your business monthly or even add it onto your salary, man, come join me and my partner Ali, man, at 7 p.m. on Thursday nights and 7 p.m. on Sunday nights for our free masterclass.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna put that link down in the description. It's a website or something? Like
Yep. So it's cred, the number 2, capital.com.
Capital.com.
Yep.
That's where they can go sign up. They can go register, man.
Yep.
And it's owned from there. They can find you. But the floor is still yours, man, for these last minutes before we get out of here. Any last words, though? Last words you just want to share with my audience and be like, hey, this is what I want y'all to know about me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? These are my last words I want to give to y'all before we sign off. What's something you want to leave with them, man?
Yeah, man. If you're somebody who's sick and tired of being sick and tired, I'm here to tell you, nothing is going to change unless you change. You got to do something different in order to get a different outcome, right? If you want different results, you got to do different things. I'm here to tell you, take action now, right? Because tomorrow's not guaranteed to us, right? We are naive to think we got next week, next month, the year after, right? We can't say we're going to do it next month. Let's do it now. Take action, take your life to that next level, and man, obsess over other people's problems. See, people that's broke, they only broke because they're obsessing over their problems. That's selfish if you're obsessing over your problems, right? You want to be able to obsess over other people's problems. And I want to break this down for you and probably give you a vision of what I mean, right? Is somebody in a Honda looking at somebody in a Lamborghini. There's somebody on a bike looking at that person in a Honda. There's somebody walking looking at that person on a bike. So what I'm here to tell you is that your problems is not as big as the next person. Obsess over their problems so much that they're willing to dig in their pockets to pay you to solve it for them.
Man, that's it right there, bro. That's some real news that you can use with your boy, Mr. CJU, man. I appreciate you coming through, dropping that sauce on my people, man. Y'all put in the comments on how y'all feel about that. I think we want to bring them back for a part 2 as well, man. Let's go, man. Hey, y'all already know. Till next time, it's your boy, Mr. CJU. Oh, man. Yeah. That's how you shut that motherfucker down. Hey, that clip gonna be nasty, boy.